This is Bay Simpson, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Unteed, and with me in Dogbowl Studio is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Big Strix Vinyl Records and Sports Cards, located in Rock Island, Illinois. New, vintage, and previously owned. You can find it at Big Strix. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. And tonight's guest is
Bay Simpson.
Yeah, a country artist promoting his latest single, Summertime Classics.
Yeah, listeners might know him from The Voice season 29. Get out there and check him out if you're in the Nashville area.
Let's get to that interview.
All right.
Good night. Bay, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Unteed.
Bay, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank y'all for having me, man. Excited to be on.
Hey, we're excited to have you. Thank you for agreeing to do this tonight. So let's get right into this. Recently, you released your latest single, Summertime Classics. And talk about the songwriting creativity behind this new music.
Yeah, so this was a song that I wrote with three other good buddies from Nashville, Chris Miller, Logan Platt, Landon Sears. We had been writing together for probably a year or two, and we wrote this song I guess it was January of 2025 when we wrote this song, and we really loved it. You know, we were we had thought about, pitching it to other artists, but I ended up liking it a lot and just wanted to cut it on myself. And I felt like it made a lot of sense because, what I do is, kind of a throwback to, the greats that I grew up listening to. I mean, that's kind of my style as an artist. I mean, I think I do it in a fresh way that people can resonate with now, but I really love this song because I felt like it paid homage to all that great music that I grew up loving. And so, that was kind of it, man. And this whole song just embodies all of that. It's that, nostalgic feeling, talking about, young love and comparing it to the music that, we grew up listening to. And, that's just kind of the backstory of it.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I love those type of songs where you get that summer throwback feel. In the lyrics you talk about listening to Jet Airliner. That's just instantly, it gave me goosebumps. I guess talk a little bit more about your songwriting approach and how it works for you.
Man, for me, it's I feel like you got to have a cool title. I mean, I think that's a really important thing to me. And then obviously just having a melody that kind of sounds timeless. I mean, those are my two biggest things. And it doesn't really matter which comes first, but if you get those two things and then you're able to write something pretty awesome to the title that kind of stays on track. I mean, that's really my way of doing it. I grew up with my stepdad, who's a hit songwriter, and you know, he really beat that into my brain ever since I started pursuing music, was just how important the songs were and how important it is to have a great title and then to have a melody that makes it memorable, you know, and or really memorable. You know, I don't think a song is anything without a great melody. So it can be either or, you know. Sometimes I have a really great melody and it's just like, okay, what do I need to say over this? And then sometimes I have a great title and I have to sit and think about a really cool melody to put it in, you know. So that's just kind of the way I do it.
I wanted to touch upon the collaboration with Logan Platt, Chris Miller, Landon Sears, and yourself. Usually when we talk about songwriting with other artists, it's them and another person or them themselves. But, it's very rare where you get so many people to collaborate songwriting on one track. To me, it sounds like, man, that'd be very crowded. But can you talk a little bit more about, songwriting with three other individuals besides yourself?
Well, it does get crowded. I mean, that was, I'll say this about that particular write. We were all writing together. That's kind of the way that the young scene in Nashville does it now, and we were actually trying to write for, bigger country artists such as Morgan Wallen or whoever. And so, we were working a lot together, trying to write for other artists. When we wrote this song, we weren't thinking about writing it for me or anything like that. So we were very much in the Nashville frame of mind when it comes to writing and collaborating. But, but with those guys, like we're all good buddies and we were used to that. And we had a really cool way of working together. And it just worked, and it doesn't always work. I mean, sometimes you go in and just nothing happens. But that was one of those good days, and I'm a guy who writes, I write a ton of songs with a ton of different people, a ton of different artists. And, I've kind of always done it the co-writing way. I can write by myself too, but I write so many songs that, if I land on one that I really, really love and it has something in it that I want to say, then I can, turn around and go do my thing to it, because I think what I do sounds unique. And even if we got it cut by another artist, like we were trying to do, that would still sound so much different than what I'm going to do to it. That us four, we're really used to working with each other in that way. It was a good time. It can get crowded though, man. Nashville is an interesting place right now.
Well, I guess maybe, compare and contrast, your methods of songwriting by yourself to those of which when you are co-writing with others.
Yeah. So, a lot of times, whether I'm writing with, one other person or four other people, like I'm always coming up with ideas on my own and coming up with a melody on my own. And then I'll take it I'll take the idea into other writers. And I typically have an idea like when I go in to cut my next record for me, like when I'm writing songs for that, I know, like when I come up with an idea, if I don't finish it by myself, I know, by now, cause I've been writing for 8 or 9 years now with other people. I know, like, okay, this idea would be, like my buddy over here can help me finish this idea, or, these two guys can help me finish this idea because they're good at this. That's just kind of the process. And then, writing, sometimes when you go in to write with artists and, you're trying to get songs on their records, a lot of times, I just go in and say, what do y'all want to write? Or, or do y'all have any ideas, and it's just kind of I've never had a very strict formula. I'm very much a vibe guy. or a vibe kind of a writer. And, just wherever the writing room takes you is kind of where I go. I've done it a lot of different ways with a lot of different people. And, that's just kind of my method.
Very good. Yeah.
Well, it's working so far. I like a lot of your songs.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So you've released a bunch of singles in this last year. Another one I liked was "Where Do I Go From Her."
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about, I guess, what's the plan for, or do you have a full length coming soon?
Yeah, so probably I've got about 3 unreleased tracks. I'm going to repackage some of what I've already put out and put it with these new tracks and kind of repackage all of that as an EP or maybe even a smaller LP. Okay. And then I've got a lot of songs that I'm about to go in and record and trying to push for an LP, probably in the fall if I can get it done by then. But, we'll see.
Oh, very good. It's no secret that you're fresh off your participation as a contestant on NBC's The Voice. Could you tell our listeners a little bit more about your journey through the show, I guess?
Man, I had an amazing journey. I really loved it. I had a great time. I was on team Adam Levine. Yeah. He was my lone chair turn in my blind audition, which was fine with me. I made it through a couple rounds after that. I made it to the knockout rounds of my season, which was, season 29, the Battle of Champions. It was kind of a ramped up little season. Like there's usually 4 coaches. There was only 3 on mine. And, so the teams were smaller. So, you had less coaches, even smaller teams. It was very competitive. So I was just really happy to get on a team and make it through some rounds. I had an awesome time. I mean, I got to do the kind of music that I love. And, I was really pleased with the performances, and I just, that crew is so great, man. They're all so awesome, and they don't, they're not going to make you be something that you don't want to be. They're going to just let you do your thing and stay in your lane, and they're going to try to make sure that you sound and look as good as you possibly can doing that. So I was thoroughly pleased with it all. I had, really got to do some really cool performances on NBC, which is awesome. And, singing songs that I loved. And, it was a great time. I had a great experience, made a lot of friends, and it's just been really cool.
Yeah. Very good. I love that performance of The Waiting, Tom Petty cover.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about, when you're up there on stage and, maybe you can block out that, millions of people are watching you, but when you got, people like Adam Levine and Kelly and, the people in the chairs, kind of critiquing you or talking to you afterwards. Can you just, talk a little bit about that experience?
Man, it was hectic. I mean, the blind audition was really, really nerve-wracking to me. That was the scariest part, because you're just looking at the backs of the chairs. And, I'm not, extremely successful by any means yet, but I've done some things in the business and I've worked in the business for a while. So when you've done that, it's a little bit of a risk to go out there. And, having to wait until the end of the song to get a turn was like, oh man, I was like, when we were getting towards the end, I was like, well, I'm probably going home and I'm about to have to beg these people not to air this so nobody sees it. But he turned, and then, from then on, nobody said anything negative to me throughout the whole thing. There's a lot of what goes on in those shows and who advances. I mean, it's TV. So I don't put much stock into, if nobody would have turned, I would have been disappointed, but it's not like I would have quit, they all had really high praise for me, and, they all said that they, felt like I was already just a true, authentic artist and singer. And, that was just really cool. It was just really cool in that way. It was just affirmation from all of those people just to keep doing what I'm doing.
some artists have performed on shows like The Voice and American Idol, have expressed it being a blessing. Others have expressed it saying, hey, this kind of stunted my, my musical career. Do you feel your participation on, a show like The Voice has any drawbacks to anybody that participates on there? Is there any negativity as far as, people's professional careers go that participate in the shows like these?
I don't think so, man. If you know what you're about, and if you're an artist, I mean, and you're gonna be willing to do all the work that comes with trying to make it as an artist, I don't think it matters. I do think there are some, obviously, some people go on it and they aren't really defined in what they do, and the TV talent show thing becomes their identity, and I was never really worried about that. But at the same time, I mean, it's hard to even blame those people, because this business is hard. And any way you can try to, any claim you can kind of stake to get more work for yourself, it is important. And especially now, just we're all trying to gain social media followers and gain a presence. And even if, going out there, if it only results in gaining, a few thousand followers or whatever, then it's worth it, because your numbers look better than they did. And, unfortunately in the industry side, it's such a numbers game now that to me, I mean, I don't really, I can see how for some people they would struggle with that. But if you know who you are and you know what you're about and you understand the business and what it takes to be an artist, which is having, being identifiable within your songs and your sound, I don't see any drawback to going and singing on TV, because you're still going to sound like you, even singing somebody else's songs. I mean, one of my favorite contestants on my season was a girl named Abigail Oakley, and she's like an indie folk artist, incredible songwriter. And she just went out there and she just has this thing about her that's so unique, even though she's singing like a Sabrina Carpenter song or whatever. It was just like, whoa, like you can really hear her artistry. So, I just think it depends on the person, as far as, if there's any drawbacks or not.
The one thing that I guess maybe with the general public that watches The Voice, the audience that, the people that, millions of people that tune in, is like, these participants on The Voice or American Idol or anything else, these people are hustling. They're hardworking musicians trying to make it. They're not people that are sitting up in their bedrooms strumming a guitar. And I think there's like so many people that are just, casual, viewers that don't really understand the amount of work that these people that are doing on a day-to-day basis outside The Voice. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever viewed it like that, but I know that, just having elderly neighbors around that watch the show, they don't realize these are people that are working hard, playing at any venue they possibly can, nonstop songwriting and nonstop, practice and performing wherever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, that is, the one thing about those shows, I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of people that watch those shows, but like you said, I mean, the audience of those shows is probably primarily people that don't understand anything about the music business, and they don't know anything about the artist or what it takes to be on that or go through that. But at the same time, I don't, how much does any of the, national public know about, I even have family members, a lot of my family members, they see musicians and they don't think that's a real job, even the ones that are famous, who are working harder than anyone you will ever find in your lifetime. I mean, if you're having success, man, it's just a 24/7, 365 grind. But yeah, it is an interesting thing. It's a lot of work, man. And I think that, I think The Voice one thing that's cool about them, like they reached out to me, like a casting director came to me and, I guess had been watching what I was doing on social media and invited me out, and that was, so, they're really taking time to look into that. They want to try to help people out who they think are serious. Cause it only benefits the show if, somebody blows up into a big star, and the ones that are going to be stars are the ones that are working the hardest.
Very good.
Yeah. So you had alluded earlier to your stepfather being a songwriter, and I know you come from a musical family. Your mother and father, are musicians, and
yes.
So recently, you guys just had an album out called The Family. Also working on,
yes.
I believe your stepbrother, right, Dylan LeBlanc, and also you do a lot of co-writing with him. I believe I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys just had an album, Delusions of Grandeur, came out in 2026, or it's coming out. I think there's just a few singles available right now.
Yes.
One of my favorites was Pick Your Poison off that one.
Oh, yeah.
It was cool because it was mentioned to be Americana, but when I was listening to it, I was getting throwbacks to Fleetwood Mac. And
yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
That's it, man. That's definitely the vibe. I mean, I feel like the whole Delusions of Grandeur record is a lot of it's a very, Fleetwood Mac Rumors type of record.
Yeah.
It's just, but it's a little bit fresh too. I mean, it's kind of retro futuristic,
Yeah.
but it's been that project's a blast, man. And I've been really busy working, we were just in New York City last night playing a showcase up there and getting ready. That album releases worldwide digitally this Friday.
Oh, wow.
And, I'm the single that's being featured when the album releases is I'll Take It, which is a song that I'm singing lead on that my band has actually played, forever. I mean, I wrote that song 5 years ago, and, that's a song that opened a lot of doors for me. I mean, it hasn't been cut by anybody major or it hasn't been a hit or anything yet, but that's the one song that, publishers have heard and been like, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to book you on some rights, like that song has opened some doors for me for sure. And that's the featured single when the album releases. So nice. It's a blast, man. It's cool. They're all just uberly talented people. I mean, my mom is a powerhouse singer. My stepdad's a great singer, world-class guitar player and writer. And then my stepbrother is the same.
Mm. Well, before you became a solo artist, you fronted the Outlaw Apostles. I guess the question I have for you on this is, how hard was it for you to break away as a solo artist, as, being in a band, then becoming your own thing? Was it a hard thing for you to transition to?
I gotta say, it really wasn't. Outlaw Apostles, I mean, it was, we had a cool thing going for a minute, and, we were doing some cool stuff. We got to open for like Jamie Johnson and Dwight Yoakam. We got to tour with Easton Corbin, played some big festivals, worked with Keith Stegall, who's a legendary producer, and all that was great. That was my introduction to the music business, essentially. But, that band it just kind of fell apart. We had a lot of guys in the band that, unfortunately just, it didn't work out, and a lot of guys that didn't understand the business. And, that was hard because, for me, like trying to be a leader, but I'm 20, I was 21 years old, 20 years old at the time, and all these guys are a lot older than me, and they don't know as much about it as me, but they're not going to listen to me, because they're, they were talented guys and they were, good, but, it was kind of, it wasn't necessarily put together. We formed that band before, we started working, but it just ended up being a rough situation, which can be really frustrating. And, my band, I had to start, unfortunately, I had to start replacing guys in Outlaw Apostles pretty quick. And, the band that backs me now when I'm doing solo shows is a lot of the same, a lot of the guys that ended up in Outlaw Apostles later on.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of the same operation, just under a different name. But it's way cleaner because, we're not dealing with 5 other, opinions, and my band is great. They are really big supporters of me and believe in me. And, it's a great thing now, but there was a lot of baggage and struggle with Outlaw Apostles that, wasn't too difficult to move on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope fans still check it out, because I think you guys have like 1 EP and a few singles out there that were pretty good.
Yeah. It was great music. I mean, it was really cool music. I'm the kind of guy, I'm not going to put something out if I don't like it, or think I have something to say in the song. And, Outlaw Apostles made great music, man. And, that's something that people should definitely go listen to, because I think people would dig some of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I want to take this back to your solo work. You do have some upcoming shows here in August, I think through Kansas, Tennessee, and Indiana. Can you tell fans what to expect on your upcoming shows?
Yeah, man. So, I've got a show in Tupelo, Mississippi on August 7th. I'm going to be playing at Backline Music Hall. Then I've got a set in Nashville with some fellow voice contestants at Chiefs on Broadway. We're doing like an acoustic thing, kind of an in the round type deal, but it's with Aaron Nichols. I'll be playing alongside Aaron Nichols and Dustin Dale Gaspard, and they're really talented players and singers, and we'll all just be taking turns playing songs. That'll be great.
Sweet.
I think we're going to Delphi, Indiana to play the Indiana Bacon Festival, which will be great. I mean, that sounds amazing. I'm ready to eat some great bacon, so that'll be fun. But yeah.
You were born and raised in the legendary Muscle Shoals, Alabama, an area made famous from the recording studio and bands like Lynyrd Skynyrd. Can you talk a little bit more about being raised in such a unique portion of the United States?
It was a really cool place to grow up. It's beautiful. I mean, I just got back down here today, flew back from New York this morning, but it's so beautiful down here, man. The Tennessee River runs between Florence, Alabama, which is where I grew up, and then Muscle Shoals is on the other side. And I spent time in both of those towns. I spent a lot of time in Muscle Shoals, and at Fame Studios, because my mom and stepdad worked there all the time, and they still do. And I'm actually I have a publishing deal with Fame now, so I write for them. But I think growing up there, and the thing about Muscle Shoals is if you really, really know what it means, like if you really grew up in it, not everybody down here gets it, but if you really grow up in it and you're ingrained in Fame and what that was, it just teaches you a certain love for the craft of music. When people think of Muscle Shoals, or they hear a band or an artist is from Muscle Shoals, they go, oh, okay, these guys can really play, like for real. There's not going to be any tracks behind them. There's not going to be auto-tune, on everybody's vocals. It's going to be the real deal. And I think that's the thing about the Shoals that is really, really important, is it's just genuine. When you grow up in the scene here, it's, that's what you learn to appreciate. And that's the cool thing about it, for me. And then the soul side as well, there's, a lot of what happened here was in R&B and soul. And, I just think that adds an authenticity, and something genuine to this place. And all of the artists that come from here have that in their art. And that's the main thing. And to me, that's what creates the best music ever. So I wouldn't want that any other way.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I know you talked about it a little bit on The Voice, and we've talked a little bit about family, but, what a cool story being a distant relative of Elvis Presley. How old were you when you learned that?
Man, I've known that for a long time. I mean, obviously it's a big family story, but it was really prevalent because my grandfather, my mom's dad, they're the ones who are pretty closely related to Elvis. It's not some kind of fake, thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a put on at all. And, so, growing up around my granddad and seeing him and his brothers play music, I mean, they were probably a little too into it, like they would go to shows and they all dressed like Elvis. They had their hair done like Elvis. They weren't impersonators. Like, they were really talented guys and great players. But, that was very much their thing, just because, I mean, they were, second cousins with, the very first major rock star of all time. I mean, I don't even know if any of us can fathom how big Elvis was. He was like the first celebrity, in a way, or one of the first. But I knew about it, and obviously, it's a big deal in the family for sure.
So cool. Well, we're out of our allotted time this evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
Yeah, if you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on social media. My TikTok and Instagram is at Bay Simpson Music, and then I'm on Facebook as well. I really appreciate anybody who's willing to follow me and keep up with the journey. That's a big deal for us now, is getting, having those followers and that online audience. And if you love live music, come out and see a show, because, we really play. My band is great. We have a great time and a great show, and I think people would dig it.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, this is how things are going to work out once Jeff over here, the editing ninja, gets it all cleaned up. We'll send it to your PR people. We'll send it to you too. And
awesome.
We thank you so much, Bay. It was an honor to have you on tonight. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate y'all having me, man. That was a fun time.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care, man.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
See you.
Everybody grinds the stone and makes their own mistakes.